Urban Meyer likes to talk, and Urban Meyer has gone back and forth on the Tennessee-Alabama game. So I'd say this half in jest. But is he playing both sides of the fence because he would like to be the head coach at one of these programs?
Well, yes, because he initially picked Tennessee, then he changed his pick to whoever has the ball left at last, and then in real time he changed his pick again. So this is what he said on a couple days ago. You ready for this?
I'm ready. I always love Urban Meyer because I can believe roughly half the things that come out of his mouth.
You know, Dave, he is a fine, upstanding gentleman. Okay, how dare you? If I could do my Mount Rushmore of coaches that are moral, it's Urban Meyer, Joe Paterno, Hugh Freeze, and
yes. Hey, let me ask you this: if he's standing at the pearly gates and they say, "We've got your lying percentage up here," and out of everything you said, what percentage would be lies?
Oh gosh,
I'm gonna go with a very, very specific number. It's 67.8%.
Wow, you think 2/3 of the things that have ever come out of Urban Meyer's mouth is a lie?
I do. I just think it's his nature. Dan says Nico will get better, I think. $1.99 goes to Quincy Calhoun's college fund. Thank you for the super chat.
Can you get are you allowed references when you try to go to heaven? Like, can Urban Meyer be like, hey man, Tim Tebow's a reference for me though? Like, can he do that?
No, what that is the only way he gets in. I mean, it's going to be St. Peter's going to say, we've considered the Tim Tebow thing, and that was pretty good, but sorry, the rest of your career and your lifeline percentage is going to send you somewhere else.
Before I play this, I think that's going to work more against Tim Tebow than it'll work in Urban Meyer's favor. We all believe Tim Tebow's going to heaven, but when he's at the pearly gates, he's going to be like, yeah, man, you were ride or die for Urban Meyer and that Florida team that was out here killing him.
Maybe that keeps Tim Tebow out of heaven.
Wouldn't that be crazy if that kept Tim Tebow out?
Question, what Gators actually get into heaven? No, we're not going to do that.
Aaron Hernandez.
Right. By the way, the new Beavis and Buttheads, the shows that are out, there's one where they fall in a sewer and they think they're in hell and they love it. It is hilarious. All right, here. Speaking of hilarious, here's Urban Meyer, who looks like he's been in the sun. Congrats.
Yep.
I mean, that's SEC, man. This is gonna be the will of wills. I'm gonna go Alabama. Alabama's whoever has the ball last. I keep going back and forth with this. I'm gonna pick. Mark's gonna get pissed, but I'm gonna go Tennessee because it's his home. I think it's a draw.
An upset.
It's a 1.5 point upset. I don't even think those should be called upsets.
No, I think, and here's the thing, Urban Meyer is a college football analyst. Like, you can't make a pick? I get it's a draw. Go out on a limb. Make a pick, man.
I got the feeling from that interview he didn't know a combined 5 players that are going to take part in the game.
No, he doesn't. He is collecting a check right now on Fox Sports, okay? So, I cannot believe that he's actually, I don't know why he's doing it either. And so here's the truth of the matter. And you are right, Dave. He's collecting a check on Fox Sports right now because he wants to stay relevant, because he wants a college to hire him.
Yes.
And he's being careful about what he says because he's going to, Urban Meyer's not stupid. He wouldn't take any job that opened, right?
Right. I think he wanted here's what I was told from somebody that is a really good source in those circles, that he wanted the Texas job. Now, I commented a couple of weeks ago, I think he wants the Florida job again, but I wasn't told that. I don't want to report that as sourcing, but I do know that he wanted the Texas job.
Oh, I firmly believe he wants the Texas job. I'm totally on your side on that.
I mean, there is a report. Now, I don't know that it is true, but somebody that looked just like Urban Meyer dropped off a bottle of tequila on Steve Sarkisian's front porch.
Oh,
just
man.
To see if he could make things go south. No, I don't know if that's true.
Well, I mean, at least
probably not, but it's fun to talk about.
If this were 10 years ago, he probably would have just called Aaron Hernandez and been like, Steve Sarkisian disrespected you.
Just take him out. Just take him out. What do you mean by out? You know what I mean by out. All right, so let me ask you this, Caleb. Is it almost a compliment in some ways if he were to consider the Tennessee job, because you wouldn't have considered the Tennessee job when it was an absolute cluster, when I don't think most people knew who the chancellor was. And now Donde Plowman's out there doing a great job. They're good from the AD down. I mean, how much is it a compliment that Urban Meyer might even consider the Tennessee job? Because he wouldn't have 6 years ago.
No, this is a huge compliment. This is a huge compliment that Urban Meyer would consider the Tennessee job. And I think, again, I don't think, and you tell me this, Dave, I think Urban Meyer's got, and I don't mean in character-wise, but I mean, I think he's got a little bit of Steve Spurrier in him in that he doesn't like recruiting too hard. He doesn't like working overtime to recruit. Is that fair?
I thought he was, I always got the feeling from people that covered him, he was a pretty big grinder, actually.
I thought it was a grinder in game planning. Like the recruiting thing at Florida, like one Zook left him 3 recruiting classes.
Yeah, it's really hard to say, Caleb, because he was at 2 schools that you didn't have to recruit hard to have talented rosters. So did he recruit hard? I don't really know. Yeah,
that's where I'm at. And so I think he likes schools where you don't have to recruit hard. Tennessee's a school where you kind of have to grind a little bit to recruit. Used to be. I don't know if it is anymore with NIL. I think Urban Meyer sees Tennessee and he thinks, man, that NIL money, I just buy some players. I think Urban Meyer.
I think John Gruden feels the same way. And I talked to a source who speaks to Gruden frequently. And I said, and this is just recently since we talked about this. And I said, I think he wants the Florida job. And the person said, no, last I talked to him, which has been a few months ago, and that's why I knew he'd never take the Tennessee job, is because he doesn't want to coach in college. And I said, well, what he said about the NIL and the transfer portal, I think he views it differently. That person said, that's a good point. So he's reaching out to him, and hopefully we'll have something on that before long. But he was never going to come to Tennessee. But with this NIL and transfer portal and all this sorts of thing, I mean, it's a totally different game now. You're not molding young men. You don't give a darn. I mean, if Nico walks away with $8 million or whatever he walks away with, do you think Josh Heupel is going to say to himself, man, I hope I molded him as a great young man? No, you gave him financial independence for the rest of his life. Now, you hope that he handles things the right way moving forward, but you're not talking about molding men anymore.
No, not at all. And, here's the thing. I think there is still a layer of wanting to mold men at this level. And I know I'm sappy, but it depends on the player. I mean, I think sometimes coaches, I think we are unfair in this way. There are some coaches who, yes, they want to win. Yes, they know the players are using them as a pit stop for the pros, but they still look out. They still care for their future. Dave, you may call me crazy, but I actually think John Calipari cares about the future of a lot of his players that played for him that were the one and dones. I think he cares more about them than he cares about the school, which to me is a little bit disrespectful. That's possible. But I do have to say that I think John Calipari did care. I do think that's a thing with coaches. I think they genuinely, the decent ones, care. I think Urban Meyer, though, does not. Urban Meyer is, I don't care what you do or who you hurt, go win me some football games. And I think that, I think he sees, Dave, I want to say this. If you're Urban Meyer, would you rather take the Tennessee or Alabama job? I think you'd rather take the Tennessee job with the NIL.
I think that's possible. I think there are 3 jobs he would take immediately without thinking about it, wouldn't even care about the number on the paycheck. And I think that's Notre Dame, Texas, and Florida again.
Oh, he wouldn't take
Florida's not going to hire him. Florida's not going to hire him. Notre Dame's not going to hire him. They'd be more apt to hire the cocktail waitress at the club that he owns that he was dancing with that was not his wife.
Oh, I mean, look, Florida has stuck with that. Is a very good point. Florida, I mean, there's a reason Steve Spurrier is more beloved in Florida than Urban Meyer, even though Urban Meyer won one more national championship. It's because Steve Spurrier didn't wreck the program on the way out. I'm pretty high on. I think Urban Meyer is the reason he's doing this Fox job, and the reason he said what he said there, and the reason he's being so vague. He's saying things, and he's only saying things in a way to position him for a job, and he's clearly interested in either the Tennessee or Alabama job.
Amen. Listen, college football coaching is easier now because of NIL and transfer portal.
Yes, and he wants to undercut one of those coaches. I just don't know who.
Again, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he dropped off a bottle of tequila on Steve Sarkisian's front doorstep. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying it's happened, but it wouldn't surprise me.